So, I need to talk a little bit about the Orlando shooting, don't I? But I'm not actually going to be talking directly about the Orlando shooting. I'm going to be mostly talking about the reaction to the Orlando shooting. Now, the Orlando shooting was the most horrific spree shooting in America to date. Now, because of that, it has received an enormous amount of media coverage, not just in America but worldwide, especially given the targets. The shooter specifically wanted to attack homosexuals. And that is abhorrent, it's repugnant, it's disgusting. But I'll also point out that there are, in fact, radical Christians in America who are celebrating the deaths of these people. And that is equally repugnant and disgusting. Now, a lot of people, especially Democrats and liberals in general, are calling for greater gun control. Now, I said this before and I'll say it again. I feel that these calls for greater gun control are not a logical response to what happened. And the reason is because of this. These kinds of spree shootings constitute a minority of the total amount of gun-related deaths in America. The vast majority of gun-related deaths occur in inner cities, and the vast majority of these victims are black people. However, the media only pays attention to these mass shootings. They know that these stories are incredibly popular. People want to read more about them. They get an undue amount of attention. Reporting about, let's say, a black kid that was shot in the inner city does not receive a lot of media attention because it has unfortunately become normalized. It is now normal, unfortunately, tragically, that black people are gunned down in inner cities. And the fact of the matter is that I feel that a lot of people are using these tragic events, these spree shootings, to push a anti-gun rhetoric to suit their own needs. This is what they want, but they're going to capitalize on this tragedy to push that agenda. Now, I'm not opposed to gun control necessarily. Obviously, I do believe that gun control is necessary. You should do background checks on people. We shouldn't just freely hand out guns to people just because they want one. There needs to be background checks conducted. However, I'm not convinced that increased gun control will mitigate the total amount of gun-related deaths in America, nor will it mitigate these spree shootings. We already have reasonable gun control in most states, not all states. That's not to say that there aren't exceptions, nor am I saying that there aren't gun show loopholes. There absolutely are. What I am saying, however, is that I'm not convinced that further gun control will actually deter spree shooters from doing what they're doing. If someone wants to do something badly enough, they're going to figure out a way to do it. They have already accepted the consequences of their actions, which is, of course, death. And they're driven to do it irrespective of that inevitability. I am concerned, however, about some of the rhetoric that's been spouted by demagogues like Donald Trump, who are calling for restrictions on liberty. They are calling for surveillance of mosques. And it's not much of a stretch for them to start surveilling anyone they want for any reason they deem fit. I will point out that there's only 2 spree shootings in recent history, and I'm sure in all of American history, which were conducted by Muslims that were motivated by religious fanaticism. So surveying mosques will not be conducive towards mitigating spree shootings because it will not in any way deter or stop, let's say, a troubled kid who has mental problems from going around killing people. So what do we do then? Start surveilling random kids? No. If we're going to speak honestly and logically about this, we have to be cold and rational. And we do have to weigh the consequences of what we decide to do with their benefits and their negatives. The benefits are supposedly we will stop these spree shootings. I do not believe that at all. But what are the, let's just put that aside. Let's just give that to them. Okay, what are the negatives? The negatives are that we are now being probed unfairly, unjustly by who knows, some agent of the government or maybe even a private contractor doing it for some other agenda under the auspices of trying to prevent a spree shooting that might occur at some arbitrary point in the future. It is not worth it. It is not worth it for all of us to be negatively affected by this surveillance. It is not worth it to have mosques surveilled just to prevent another spree shooting. It's not worth it. You are much more likely to be killed by a police officer than you are to be killed in a spree shooting. You are much more likely to be killed by a loved one than you are to be killed in a spree shooting. You are much more likely to be killed by someone you know, a friend or an acquaintance, than you are to be killed in a spree shooting. So therefore, it is not in any way, shape, or form rational to surveil anyone to prevent these kinds of crimes. It is not rational. If we're going to live in a free society, if this is still a free country, we have to be able to have our private lives. We have to be able to have our privacy. Because it's not much of a stretch to go from a free society to then a restrictive, authoritarian 1984 style society once you start implementing this idea of surveillance and paranoia. It's much more worth it to have the free society and then accept the unfortunate consequence that some random idiots are going to go off and do this kind of horrific crime. So what should we do? More gun control? No. Surveilling people randomly? Surveilling mosques? No. Castigating Islam for the actions of 2 or 3 people? No. What we should do is we should fight against poverty. If you are interested in reducing the total amount of gun-related deaths, and they always parade this statistic every time one of these spree shootings happens, they talk about how many gun-related deaths occur in America, and they compare it to other countries. So if they're going to keep on using that rhetoric, then we need to analyze what is the cause of that. The cause of the disproportionate amount of gun-related deaths in America is because of poverty. There is a positive correlation between poverty and crime. Poverty gives rise to gangs, because if you live a shitty life, you don't have parents, you don't have any future, any ambition, no education, then you are incentivized to join a gang, because that is the only opportunity that you have. And gang activity, of course, gives rise to guns, which they do not obtain legally. So more gun control will not in any way stem the tide of guns infiltrating the inner city. It will not do anything to mitigate that. They will still obtain guns. If you want to mitigate gun-related deaths, you have to work against poverty. Poverty is the #1 enemy of America. We will see a steep decline in gun-related deaths if we fight poverty. And in order to fight poverty, we have to actually give a damn about black people. And so that's why you need to start giving a fuck and start saying black lives really do fucking matter. This is Enigma Hunt signing off.